working on, gone back and forth, met with him extensively, and something that they've put together for you to look at today.
Very good. Carol?
Thank you.
I'll pop up in a second.
Okay. I do have 11 by 17 copies to give to the trustees today, but I'm gonna, if everybody can see this adequately, I'm gonna try to focus here so we can.
Just takes a minute.
Is it on?
There you go.
Morgan, give it a second.
As Tracy said, we've been working on this thing for the past several months, meeting with he and his staff, Mr. Bickford, quite a bit, and looking at all of the options. Just to begin the process, is one of the things that we have been dealing with is this site. You know, part of our task was, you know, you have a lot of things going on this site. You have fire vehicles, you have sheriff's vehicles, you've got emergency first responders that are coming in and out of here at a quick pace. You've got service department vehicles getting in and out of here with the salt barn behind there in the wintertime. You've got 24/7 operations on this site, as well as residents coming in, generally parking in the front, some parking in the back, and then you also have the activity of recycling in the existing parking lot, as well as the field play back behind the site where you have soccer, football, and basically open green play back there. And so there's a lot of activity on the site, and that was part of our role, was to try to separate this, make the site safer for people. I neglected to mention the fuel station right now, which Greg has the laser pointer. I don't know. Did you bring in batteries?
Yeah.
The laser pointer.
Greg.
Also, it's my fault that Craig doesn't.
Tom had medical emergencies on his way.
Okay.
That's all they
I'm gonna try to scan all the way. Right now, the fueling station is right here. Oftentimes, you have, man, thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. You're assuming I know how to operate this thing. There we go.
My apologies to the board, I had a medical emergency this morning.
The fueling station is right here right now. That is a two-way traffic. You can fuel on both sides, and what happens a lot of times is you have people coming around the corners. You know, there's no way to get around there when you have vehicles in there. So there is probably more congestion on this site and more potential accidents that you guys probably aren't aware of, because they happen literally on a day-to-day basis. So that was part of what we're looking at. The other part is actually the location of this building here that we're talking about. We looked at various studies of having this building be here, back here. You know, the idea was we would try to preserve this space because we don't really have to get into this space. You know, it keeps it further away from the neighborhood at the rear of the site. And, you know, we've got it really kind of tucked in here in this lower level. You know, this is about an 8-foot differential from here in grade between what it is up here at the building that we're standing in right now. So, to make a long story short, we've ended up locating the building here, and part of this project is also the replacement of the salt dome, which is currently right here, as you understand. One of the difficulties right here is just the maneuvering of vehicles in and out of this space to get into the salt dome, to load it up, to bring new salt in, get it in here, and then plus we have the situation where water runs down the road and into the salt dome, so you have a constant erosion in this building now. And I think that dome has probably outlived its usefulness. It needs a new roof now, which is probably about half the cost of a new salt dome. So you're looking at making an investment in this thing sometime in the near future, even if it stays right here. So what we've done is we've moved it down here and developed really a complex down here of maintenance vehicles and storage, a salt dome, a fueling station, and then we've converted this area where the salt dome was into storage bins that the maintenance department uses throughout the township. And we have an area here for large bins. What we're proposing to do is elevate this a little bit so we can solve that water sloping problem, so we get the water to run down here and eventually end up back here in an enlarged detention pond. Right now, you have a detention pond in this area, but obviously with the development that we're talking about here, we're going to have to increase the capacity of that development as well. So what is happening here is we're bringing vehicles in here. You can see there's gated here. There's gates here, and there would be a gate right there that would fence this area off from the general public, so that any kids down here playing would not have access to getting into this facility. And you can see that on this side of the site, this is your current parking lot with the recycling area in here. What we've done is we've extended this road down here to increase the parking area that we have down here for people utilizing this area. And we've also moved the playground here into the area closer to where the existing tennis courts are, and made this a handicap accessible playground. So we do have, again, we have accessible parking down here, we have accessible access to this playground, so that we can make it more viable for community residents to use. So we've moved this here, we've preserved this space, and we've got the building located down here. What I want you to look at is this bottom sketch. This is basically a section from the site. There's Kenwood Road right here, here's the building we're in, and here's the new maintenance building right here. As you can see, the top of this building is significantly lower than the top of this building. What we've tried to do is, as I said, when I said we tucked this building in down here, it is right at the toe of the slope coming down from this parking lot and this building coming down to the building. And you can see how much lower it is, and we've got the salt dome back here, and then the topography goes up to the play fields here, and then you have the residents back here on New England Court. What we're proposing to do is, there is excellent shielding on this side from anybody, from these neighbors looking in here, as there is on this side. There's some open spots on New England Court. What we're proposing to do is to increase the landscape buffer across the back, so that people on New England Court don't have an issue with looking into the salt dome or the maintenance building. And again, we provided a buffer right here across the front of, or excuse me, the back side of the salt dome, so that we don't, again, create problems with neighbors and try to shield them as best we can from activities. Because again, this is currently a 24/7 activity here in the wintertime, and it will remain, well, it's not just winter, it's water line breaks, it's all times. So it will continue to be that way. So we're not really changing or adding any additional use to the site. We're just consolidating it here and maximizing it. One of the things that's hard to do in a project like this is to quantify how much damage and depreciation you lose to the heavy equipment that you buy, because you can't house it. And it's difficult to build housing for equipment, but the reality is when it's laying out here in the parking lot, it's deteriorating at a much faster rate as to when it's preserved in the building. And as Tracy mentioned, the building at Bechtold is only 30 by 60, and it's just literally ready to go. It's just in poor condition. So this is what we're looking at here on the site plan. We looked at a lot of different options in terms of circulation, but basically we're bringing the traffic flow in through here, out through here, and then everybody exits to the light. We're getting all the traffic from, most of the traffic that goes in this building, a lot of that will be moved into this building, and this becomes primarily the maintenance area for the township. Is there any questions on the site plan?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
in back of the building here, cars are parked there. Is there, is there still gonna be, there still be that area
Yes.
will be back?
Yeah.
Just
What
still have that.
we're doing is here is we're clearing out this area where the fueling station is. We're just getting rid of that congestion that happens in there, because then everybody will fuel down here. You can see these diagrams that are on the site plan here. These are diagrams of different vehicles, making sure that we've got clearance to get fire trucks out and around, and down here, they can fuel on either side of the station. Salt delivery trucks bring a semi in here, bring it forward, back it right up to the dome, and get the material in. So we've taken a look at all those parameters involved in moving vehicles around the site here.
And is the building big enough?
Yes.
For growth and that?
We have planned for some growth,
Yes. We go to the site, or go to the floor plan. This is actually the floor plan of the building, and this is the entrance side of the building here. You can see the building is stacked with a door on this, with a large overhead door on one side, and a large overhead door on the north side of the building, with the traffic flow coming through. One of the concepts that we looked at, and we went out and looked at a lot of storage buildings, and we've done quite a few, so we have some experience in doing this. And rather than having a series of doors down both sides of the building where people would pull trucks in, what you do is you create a loss of wall space inside the building by having all those doors in there. And you also create maintenance for yourself and expense because you're dealing with overhead doors. Overhead doors are a maintenance item. Anybody who has overhead doors knows that. Fire department, the chief says, yeah. So we've limited this building to 2 overhead doors here, ideally, so that traffic comes in here, you come in, pull a vehicle in, back it out, and go. And you can see the building is about half vehicles, and it's about half storage. But this is all the stuff that the township has, everything from festival materials to asphalt materials to replacement materials. All those things are essentially on this side of the building. We have some future spaces built into here. We've got some excess space here and here, and we've got the same thing over here. Now, we're building this building to be tall enough to actually open vehicles, to open a dump truck in here, to actually have some capacity to have be on top of vehicles. And what that allows us to do on this side of the building, as you can see, there's a stairwell there and a stairwell there. From here to here, we've got a mezzanine on this side of the building, which gives us 4,000 additional feet, which is essentially free space, not quite free, but it's good cheap space to have long-term storage up on a second level, which we have stuff up there we don't use on a day-to-day basis. And so we've created, this building is 12,800 square feet, and we've created an additional 4,000 square feet of space in here. Now,
Mike, I know you said that it's below grade of this building. What is the height of that building?
we're looking at the eave height of about 20 feet on the eave with a 2-to-1 slope to be about 26, 27 feet at the very ridge of the building, which really is probably a couple of feet higher than this building, but it's, again, it's lower down there. So, and you can see, like, this is wall space here. These are all where the snow plows can be racked up on the wall. They can be held. They can be hung on the wall, so they're easy for a truck to get into. We've got a hoist crane in here where you can just put the plow on there, just put it right on the truck. And it just, again, this is just modern workings as opposed to dragging them around like they have to do now. We have one restroom in here, and we have a small office in here, and that's it. This building is basically storage and workspace. One of the things what we've got on this side of the building then is a brining operation for the salt dome, which is located out in this area right here. And this allows us to consolidate. We've got a brining mixing pump in here, and all this then is open. All this activity is much better concealed than it is now, and it's much more efficient because it's easier to operate, getting a skid loader in here from there to here to mix up the brine. And then on this side of the building, one of the things we've done is we've just extended the roof and put a drive-in wash bay in here. Again, one of the difficulties is you're dealing with salt in vehicles, the ability to wash, clean that out, and again, make your vehicles last, because we all know what salt does to everything, and it's worse on vehicles and moving parts. So we have this in here, and we have that on that side, and basically a straight-through operation. This is the inventory, which you can't see on here, but I'll give you the copy of this, of all the equipment that's actually in this building. And as you can see, it's quite a bit of stuff. Any questions on the plan?
I got a question.
Sure.
Can you go back to the previous slide? Currently, where the proposed salt and maintenance building is that grass?
Mm-hmm. The existing road, that loop road comes down around here about like that. So yeah, that is grass area.
And you said there were tennis courts down there?
Tennis courts are up in this corner.
There's
right
old
here.
tennis courts up by where the playground's shown right now that haven't been used in.
Oh yeah, the tennis courts are not usable. I mean,
I was wondering if the township had any.
no, they're.
Were you asked to plot this on any other properties in the township?
No,
No.
it was not.
Has that, okay. That's the other question I have is, we're always talking about highest best use and economic value. Obviously, this is very desirable real estate. I'm just wondering if that's something that's been vetted.
No, this is the long-term use that was planned when the school was bought. It wasn't planned to be a park always. This is our footprint, and in the future, that's why it was bought, so we could expand the footprint of our facility here and not go up to remote locations to get our equipment and have everything located here.
Ideally, if you looked at a different site, you probably want to take this building and move it too.
Yeah. Because I remember there was a park levy, I believe, that had a proposal for this area.
It was a park levy for operations.
A rec
For a
center,
rec
a rec
center.
center.
It was down there, and the
Defeated.
citizens said no.
That was capital, not operations.
No, the levy was for
Levy was
operations.
operations.
Oh, that's right, that's
Capital would have
right.
built the
Capital was
building.
big, that's right.
Yeah.
But that was for this site, I believe?
It was.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I have a question back here. On your presentation, the light blue to the left of that, top to bottom, I'm counting approximately 6, for lack of a word, grassy areas. In your earlier part of your presentation, not the front part of the Kenwood Road here, but yeah, there, right there, those 6 areas. In the earlier part of your presentation, I believe you stated that the current arrangements, topography, geography, puts a challenge for large equipment that may be coming in and out, vehicles and so forth. Why not, since you're gonna be in a major construction phase project anyhow, why not just eliminate all that 6 or 7 areas of grass in the back and give them more room to navigate, turn around and so forth?
Oh, they've got adequate room to navigate and turn around. This, from here to here is a drop of about 8 feet. If we eliminated that, you would either extend this grass area out and move it out here, or build a retaining wall there,
Retaining wall.
which would be more expensive than what we're doing. I mean, what we're doing is using the topography that's there to what we think is the best use, is to move this thing out so we can preserve this space, and again, just provide some sort of green space between this building and the parking lot.
Okay.
So that's only about 8 feet, it looks like it's a lot bigger.
8 feet in
8
height.
feet vertical.
Height. Oh, it's, that there is probably 40 feet down there from the parking lot to the building. But it's 8 feet in elevation change. The last, we did prepare a rendering of what this building looks like. This is from the proposed new parking lot here, going servicing the fields over here and the playground equipment right here. This is, what's up here is the existing parking lot, and the cars that you see parked there are in the back of the existing administration building. So what we've done is, as you can see here, it fits in here pretty nicely without being a detriment to this building. I mean, that was one of the things we talked about, and also, kind of what this gentleman was referring to, is we have a nice complex, and we're putting all these maintenance activities back here. But they exist here now anyway. Really, what we're doing is collecting them and putting them in a building and making better use of the fact that, of the equipment and operations. That's the brining area right there, the proximity to the salt dome. And you can see we've drawn some trucks in here. Because we have computers and we like to draw trucks and cars now, that we can do that pretty easily, so it gives it some scale and proportion. And I think we've got enough. I think we've got one other one. Is there 2 in there, Greg? Yeah, here's a little different one. This shows, this is back, that stairwell right there that we left on there is where the tennis courts are up here. So you can see the playground is down here at the end of this new parking lot. And again, we can plot people in here and do things like that, but it's, this is what, here you can actually see the proportion between, this is the existing, back of the existing administration building, and this is, again, the maintenance building in that location there with the salt building right there.
And is that parking lot currently there?
This parking lot?
Yeah.
No, that's the new parking lot we proposed. That parking lot right there is currently there. That's the recycling area right there.
Okay.
In fact, that's the recycling bin right there. So, any questions? Okay.
I've even got mower stripes in the grass.
Yeah.
It's actually quite amazing what we can, when I started in this business of sketching this by hand and doing what we're doing now. I mean,
Yeah.
this is actually the photograph of the site, and we've laid all this other stuff in here, so it's real.
Okay.
Looking for any action on something?
Gonna take it.
Well, we really don't have a timetable yet. This is as far as we've got. We don't have any actual engineered drawings. This is just a site plan to let you know what we would obviously like to do, what our needs are. If you would like us to investigate further, we'd like to move on. Now, this is, with everything that we're doing here, all the concrete, everything, the buildings, you're looking at a price tag somewhere between 3 and 4 million for the whole project.
TIF eligible.
It is.
When do you want to break ground?
Tomorrow.
I would bring around tomorrow, but
By the end of the year?
we're not engineered yet.
We want to get going by the end of the year?
We'd love to.
Realistically, you expect this to be like a spring project?
It would
if
be
we-
a spring
Yeah.
project, because as Tracy said, the drawing, it's gonna take 3 or 4 months to do the drawings, bid
So
it,
we-
get approvals, and so that's starting, actually, it's a perfect timing to start working on the drawings now, get approvals, bid it during the winter time when contractors are tending to look for more work, and break ground in the
break ground
spring.
in the spring.
I see no reason why we shouldn't proceed to the next steps.
Has the township evaluated other properties?
No, the township is trying to utilize the property that it owns, that it's currently using.
This makes sense, because you're going to here, to go back there, but the other thing is that growth, and you're satisfied with the growth of.
Yes, yeah, we planned for that. This really helps our department out a lot. I mean, if you've seen our garage and our pole barn, and you know how we're squeezed in there,
Yeah,
we're right on top of each other.
You've got $20 and $30 million worth of equipment that's just sitting out there, prematurely aging, equipment that should last you 15, 20 years, its lifespan's cut short, because it sits in a greenhouse effectively, or it sits outside, or it gets moved around constantly in that building, where it gets banged around and damaged and everything else, so, I mean,
This
this,
pole barn we have now is just like having it outside.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
It also frees up more park space.
Yeah,
When that maintenance building was built, would you have 2 dump trucks and a little backhoe?
that's about right. The old Ford backhoe, 2 dump
Came
trucks,
from the
and
Kenwood
a
Road.
pickup truck.
Came from Kenwood Road up in Blue Ash, a 2 garage barn.
That's about it.
This will get rid of that pole barn too, and that's the major improvement safety wise, over that pole barn.
Not to mention aesthetics.
Yes.
Yeah, looks horrible too.
And the corrosion and the rust and everything's getting on inside it, because it's on a dirt floor.
So what's our next move
So
on
do we
this?
need a,
We would get a proposal from Mike to continue the engineering on